Hi, I'm Larry London. This is Border Crossings. Today's show will introduce you to a group that features three siblings. Brittany, Eric, and Ian Holgis started their band Delta Ray while attending Duke University. The band's name came from a fictional book written by their mother. Their debut self-titled EP was released in 2010. 2 years later, they released their debut studio album, Carry the Fire, which produced the hit song Bottom of the River. This past April, Delta Ray released their sophomore CD, After It All, and they join us on today's program. Stay tuned for Delta Ray on Border Crossings. Hi, this is Larry London, and I welcome you to Border Crossings. In our studios, a very popular band that are on tour right now promoting their latest album, After It All, which went on sale in April, and we are very happy to welcome back to Border Crossings in Washington, D.C., Delta Ray. Welcome, guys and gals. It's great to have you back in our studios, and congratulations on the success of the new album, After It All.
Thank you.
It's very nice. How does this album differ from the last album when you were in our studios a couple of years ago?
The last album we made, we funded it on Kickstarter. We were unsigned at the time, and then we made it in about a month and a half. So it was actually pretty quick from conception to delivery, and the whole thing had a very, I think, kind of a smaller, maybe more rootsy sound. And this album, I think we expanded a little bit. We got a little bit more experimental with some of the sounds and instruments that we were exploring. So it's
also, from a writing perspective, it feels quite different because the first album we wrote when we were all living together in a house, just the four of us, really. We have two other members of the band, but the four of us were all living together in Durham, North Carolina, and we were writing and playing shows and working all out of that same house. So I feel like that was really about that experience. And then this latest record was about our 2 years of non-stop touring and seeing the whole country, and a lot of the songs were inspired by that landscape and some of the stories we heard and things like that. So content-wise, I think it's quite a bit different too.
And I read where there's two emotions that came to mind when you put this album together: frustrated and scared. Those are two different things that were said about putting this album together.
Definitely.
Frustrated and scared?
Yeah, I think that for us, so my brother and I write the music for the band, and I've been reflecting on this a lot recently. I think songwriting for me is a very personal and therapeutic thing, and so yes, I think at times, your career's in your hands when you're in a band, and things can go up and down. So yeah, anxiety and fear is definitely a part of that, but I think that we wrote to get through that. So that's reflected in some of these songs, and I also think it's coped with. A lot of these songs for me are comforting, and I think that was an important part of this album. We wanted to make something that would be worth coming back to and beautiful.
But I also think that we were talking about some of the sort of, after traveling around the country for such a long time, I mean, we were doing a lot of self-reflection. We were also, I think, coming in contact with a lot of young people across the country, and tuning into a bit of a sense of a zeitgeist, at least among maybe young people in America, where there's a loss of kind of institutional support. I think, and I'm not saying it's even a bad thing, but it does create fear, because I think a lot of us were raised in homes where there was a transition maybe where people were, at least for our family, we went from being religious to like kind of questioning that and not being religious anymore. I think that there's been a lot of people, people in our generation watching the politics of the last. I mean, I guess mostly for me, the Bush era, I felt very disillusioned by a lot of what was happening in the country, and they're just, and then I think in 2008 we all saw the collapse of the financial industry. There have been a lot of the senses of safety and security that I think have sort of worn away, and I think that's part of what we were writing about in this album, is just that there's maybe a bit of a new frontier, and a sense that of uncertainty for our generation, and hopefully that's something that we can step up and, you know, help shape the world in the way that we want it to be. But it's also just feels yeah, I mean, it just feels a little scary and a little frustrating at times.
It's interesting, you know, to hear you open up and be that honest and vulnerable, because you guys in the business that you're in are actually role models. And there's a lot of younger people who are your fans that you know, things hang on your every words. You know, they listen to what you say, and it has a deep, profound effect on them, an impact on your fans. So to say that you're kind of, you know, worried and concerned and a little scared, that's an interesting reflection.
Well, it's true. I mean, I think it's true, and I think we really experienced it firsthand. I mean, when we, you know, I think it was there in the first album. The first album was kind of, I think, a little more personal in the sense of just talking about very specific things that were going on in our lives. But I mean, we wrote that album when we were living in a house together in the middle of the woods. You know, we all were dealing with unemployment at different periods and trying to find ways to just cobble things together while we got the band started. And I mean, it was a really, you know, we were building it from the ground up, bootstrapping it for ourselves, and that felt really, it was exciting, and I've loved it, but it was also, you know, scary and challenging. And
I think oh, go ahead, Brett.
I also just want to say that I think, you know, on your point, there, you know, this album that we just have put out, After It All, it's about this age that we're in right now. You know, you're out of college, and what do you do? And I think there's an expectation for kids among our age to sort of put up a front, like, I know what I'm doing. I've got it all under control, and I've got a grasp of politics, and I've got a grasp of religion, and I can talk about all of those things, you know, with some sort of personal authority, because I've thought about it, and I don't want you to see that I'm still thinking about those things, that I'm still working through those things on my own. It's scary to open up and say, like, I don't know, and I'm scared. So I think that's another thing, like you're saying, it's exciting to be role models and to be able to say, like, this is a dialogue. This is, you know, if it is a new frontier, we've got to pioneer it, and we should all work together to figure out where we're going, so that we don't just sort of lock into old systems because we're too afraid to shake it up.
Now, you went to Berkeley, right? Cal Berkeley? And
I did.
So how does somebody from Berkeley hook up with somebody from Duke and make a band out? I mean, because
Well,
Duke is in one place and California is in the other place.
It actually wasn't really my choice, because I was born into the family of these two Duke grads. So they're my brothers. And I went to Berkeley because we were living out in Northern California, which is where we met Liz. She was born and raised in San Francisco. And Ian and Eric had gone back to the city where they were born. They were born in North Carolina. My parents met at Duke. My grandparents went to Duke, aunts, uncles, cousins. There was a bit of family history there. And so my brothers went back there to school. I was a little bit of a rebel, and I dropped out of high school. I went to community college, and then I went to UC Berkeley. And that's the only reason, actually, I was able to join the band at the time in 2009, because I had gone ahead 2 years and graduated the same time as my older brother Eric, and so, you know, magically we were all free to start this project, which otherwise would have been delayed a couple years for me to finish my degree. So that's all very fortunate, and I would say that how I got linked up with them was out of my control, but Ian and Eric always wrote songs together and made music together. And so when we got to this age of being grown and sort of growing into ourselves, I think they were ready for to write in a more, I don't know, universal way, so that they could express both, you know, things from a male perspective and a female perspective. And so they brought Liz and I in to give voice to those things. And I was in Italy studying abroad at the time. Liz was in Peru.
Working as a tutor at an all-boys school.
Wow. And you're in the San Francisco area, so how do you get into the mix of everything?
Well, Ian, Eric, and Brittany moved to Northern California when they were kids, and I actually met Ian. We were in the same community play, and then we ended up also being in the same teen singing group. Really became good friends with Ian and Eric at that time. We were around, Ian and I were 15. And then a few years later became like best friends with Brittany. So I've kind of been the fourth adopted darker haired child in their family for over 10 years now.
And when you started, it was a foursome. It was a quartet.
It was just us, yeah.
The four that are here today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic. So we got the four originals. Now, what did you call your group when you were in your teens, as you mentioned you were in a group?
Oh, the group that we were all in was a group called Till Dawn. It actually
Dawn.
still exists, and it's in Marin County, right outside of San Francisco.
It's a great a cappella group that brings in singers from all around the county, and we all have been in it, and it's a great group.
Well, it's great to have you guys back here in our studios again at Voice of America. Delta Ray's our guest. I'm going to ask if you'd sing a song. That would be great.
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear some music.
So this first song is it's off the new album, and it's called Run.
Around the banks and feel no shame. Burn our fingers and change our names. And I'll tame the roads that can't be tamed with you. Then we'll race like falcons to crash and burn. Learn the lessons we never learned. If you kiss me harder, someday I'll turn to you. To you. I wanna run to feel again, to be no one to run under the stars. I will ride in all my life. I'll be burdened by the dreams I've had. Now I wanna run. I wanna run. So let's paint our bodies and chase the sky. The earth will shake and we'll wonder why. But if I never know, well, at least I'll lie with you. With you.
Sounding great. Delta Ray here on the Voice of America. The album is called After It All, and it comes with a lithograph. That's right. On top of everything else, the great music and a lithograph.
And a lithograph.
Yeah. How about a live album? You guys thinking about doing something like that? Because I see a lot of videos. You guys are very, very popular on YouTube. There's a lot of fans. They love your videos and love your live concert performances. So how about a live album?
We would love to do a live album. You know, when we first started this band, that's actually how we got our start. It's like, if you sign up on the mailing list, we'll send you a live album that we recorded at Lincoln Theater down in Raleigh. And I loved it. I think we've grown a lot since then, so we're sort of reluctant to put that particular album out now. But it's definitely been on my mind. We haven't really talked about it just because the new album's been our focus. But I think it would be a lot of fun, and a DVD as well, because I think if you're going to make an album and get a good recording, might as well have a camera crew there and capture it. So that would be a lot of fun. I think at some point we'll try to do that.
And we also we put out a few videos of us performing live, and I actually think we had such a great time doing that even if we don't put out like a live record of us at playing a show in a venue, we may do sort of a live tracked record, one where we track live in the studio, all playing together, sort of in the same room, sharing the same space, which we've done. We did some of that for this last record, but it's kind of exciting just to keep it all like in a performance, where you can't go back and change anything or, retrack your lead vocal or, where it all just
the little
sort of bleeds
mistakes.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
natural. Now, so you've played on some of the biggest stages. Speaking of live performances, Bonnaroo and Lollapalooza, and you've done a lot of the biggest festivals. Do you have a preference? Do you like the 50,000 fan thing, or do you prefer the smaller venues?
50,000's like pretty good.
That's a good one. You like that? You like the body surfing, jumping into the crowd?
Well, I actually love the festival performances because I think people there are so intent on having a great time. Like you've come to this event and you're hungry to discover and you're hungry to share your energy. And I like that. But I think that is also, I don't know, you have to just take that in small doses because there's so much appreciation you have for the people who will come see you at a club. Like whether it's a nice theater or like a dirty, divey rock club, like people who take the time to find out where you're going, when you're going there, they want to buy those tickets, and then they want to come to that show, no matter what's happened to them that day. Like they come straight from work or they've driven like 4 hours to see you because you never go to that small town where they live. And I just have so much love for those people. They're so dedicated to music, and especially that they're dedicated to our music is it just makes me feel extremely grateful and intent on giving them a great experience that night. So.
And you guys have a relationship with your fans, unlike many other acts. You actually respond to them. I saw a lot of the communications back and forth on places like Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. So there's actually communication going on back and forth, which is great. I think that's very important to develop the loyalty and to, keep it going.
We really enjoy it because I think a big part, you want to like the people, you want likable people to like your music, and that tends to be what happens for us. So I feel very happy about that, and then happy to interact with those people because I'm like, wow, you're cool, and that makes me feel great about what we're doing, that a cool person like you likes what we're doing. So.
How does it make you feel when the critics say, in comparison, they compare you to Mumford & Sons and Fleetwood Mac? I read somewhere it's Mumford & Sons meets Fleetwood Mac. I mean, those are two hugely popular groups.
Yeah.
Not bad
humble.
comparisons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a great compliment, and they're both amazing.
And you also worked with one of the biggest producers in music, Rob Cavallo, on the new album.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, I think we felt so lucky to be in the studio with Rob, and actually, the co-producer for those sessions was Julian Raymond, who recently won a Grammy for his work with Glenn Campbell, and it's been very humbling. We've had a really extraordinary couple of years, and have been just so grateful for the opportunities we've had with that level of talent. It really is. I think when you start out as a band, it's one of the things that you so hope will come in time is just to work with extremely talented people who can enhance what you're doing. And that's definitely been the case with this past year, is that we've had the chance to work with people who have grown what we bring to the table, and that we've learned so much just from coming in contact with. So
Did you find it was easier or harder to take longer to make an album? Do you feel that, because you had the luxury of time, almost 2 years to put together this album, that you could be more selective with the songs, or do you feel that, oh my gosh, that was just too long of a time?
for me, it was better. I think I would say pretty definitively, because I felt at the end of working on Carry the Fire, it's an album that I love, but there were some songs that I felt kind of tortured about because I wasn't sure if we'd quite gotten the production right. And the great thing is that when you're out playing live, you make adjustments and you feel it out. But when the album's locked in, it's locked in. And that was our first album, so we had a lot of learning to do. This album, we went in with Rob and Julian about a little over a year ago, and we wrote, we had 16 songs that we recorded, and so that was already enough for an album. And then from there, it was paring down and improving and writing more to augment what we liked and build something that felt really cohesive and great. And I have to say, like, I always think it's kind of weird because I'm not sure if bands are really supposed to listen to their own music, but I find myself going back and listening to our album a lot. And I had a hard time doing that with Carry the Fire because those kind of mind games I would play with myself about the production. I feel like in this case, I'm really satisfied, and we were able to get enough of a chance to reflect on it and to get the things right that we needed to.
And I just wanted to say one thing that I think is really important about this second album is that because it took so long and was so sprawling as a project, we owe a huge thanks and a debt of gratitude to our other producer that really tied everything together, Peter Cadis. He's up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and he's done like all the great national records and Interpol and the Swell Season, and so he really helped us get there. And without him, I think we would still be working on the album for sure. So yeah, thank God for Peter.
Well, it's a major project when you've got a 6-member band, which also consists of siblings and good friends, and you've got all these producers, and you got a major label behind you.
Right.
So, I mean, who makes these final decisions? You said you had 16 songs, and only 11 or 12 make it. So how do you guys come to the decision on which 11 or 12?
Well, ultimately, we had like 25 songs
Wow.
or something that we had fleshed out in some way and recorded. So it really, it's kind of wonderful, though, because I think we talk through it. It's pretty much, it's always a band decision. But we're lucky enough that to be on the same page about what Delta Ray is, where it's going, what we want our sound to be, that just in talking about what should make the record, we were able to, even if we disagreed, sort of convince each other with where we ended up with was a total unanimous choice.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I just think that, when we signed to Warner Brothers, I think we were really nervous about it and intimidated because it's a major label, and we thought that, oh man, we're going to give up so much control. But it's really, to demystify it for any bands out there that are looking to get signed, for us, it has not been a controlling experience. I mean, they've been very helpful and, giving input and guidance. But I do think that at the end of the day, they're looking to their artists as the visionaries for their own projects. And I feel that consistently, which is I think really cool.
But I think we got really lucky in our label and with the people we're working with, and I have to say pretty exceptionally lucky, because when we signed with Warner, 3 or 4 years ago now, they've had a total regime change between our first record and our second, and the strain of consistency has been that we've worked with great A&R people who have given us total creative control, and they do turn to us to make almost all the decisions about creative stuff. So we made the decisions on what songs made the album, and I do think a lot of that is because we were signed by Seymour Stein, who has such a legacy of giving artists creative control. So I think he probably set the bar on that.
Well, a lot of it is confidence and trust, and the label obviously knows that they've got a great product in you guys, a great band, because you make great music. And really, after it all is the new album. I'm going to ask you to do another song, and then I want to talk about one of the songs that everybody knows when they associate you, Bottom of the River. But before we talk about that, if you wouldn't mind doing another new song.
Yeah, we'd love
for
to.
us.
This is another new one. And just going back to what we were talking about a moment ago, about fear and to me, this song is in defense of I think a lot of young people that are having trouble committing, whether it's to a relationship like it is in this song, or other things. It's just that can be hard. Anyway, this song is called "Scared."
Remember when you said you loved me? Remember when you said that it would all work out? We packed up and we left by morning, and everything you promised, it ain't happening now. And I'm swirling softly, drifting like the cream in your coffee, and you're talking calmly when I'm scared to be on our own, when the thrill is gone. And I'm scared thinking what we've done to try to love someone. Baby, can you keep your promise? Baby, can I keep
keep you honest, 'cause I'm scared. There's nothing in the sky above me. There's nothing strong below us, baby, if we fall. We're caught between a spark and lightning. Caught between forever and nothing at all. And I'm sorry, I love you, but even those words are getting see-through. And I'm losing it all to this feeling, baby. I'm scared to be on our own when the thrill is gone. And I'm scared thinking what we've done to try to love someone. Baby, can you keep your promise? Baby, can I keep you honest? 'Cause I'm scared. When you say you love me, when you say you love me, I'm scared. Are we ever gonna be okay? When you say you love me, I'm scared. Are we ever really gonna feel safe? When you say you love me, I'm scared. Is there something I can see? When you say you love me, I'm scared. Is it better if I walk away? When you say you love me, cause I'm scared to be on our own. And I'm scared thinking what we've done. Baby, can you keep your promise? Baby, can I keep you honest? 'Cause I'm scared.
Wow. Very nice.
Thank you.
Wow, that sounds great. After it all, the album Delta Ray in our studios here on Border Crossings. Now, the theme of the song, obviously, scared, being scared. Does the recent plagiarization lawsuit with the blurred lines, does that scare you guys as songwriters?
Yes.
When you're writing songs, you say, oh my God, now you have to recheck and say, oh, is this taking from any song ever recorded in the history?
That's so funny.
That's so funny.
We've been talking a lot about it.
I think that every songwriter, that really rattled every songwriter that I know. And I think for good reason, because, and the lawsuit, I feel like it said it. It's not a lawsuit based on plagiarism directly or any, vocal line or lyric ripoff. It's based on inspiration. It sounds inspired by that song. And I mean, I don't know how else I would live. I'm inspired by so many artists. So to be under that scrutiny is really scary.
Well, I read a long commentary on that case and by a writer, Bob Lefsetz, who does a lot of writing on the industry, and he was saying that it really comes down to the fact that it went to a jury trial, and when you get it to a jury, I mean, then you're prone to human error, and it becomes not so much about the law, but about how people hear things, and that's I mean, at the point at which you've let it get there, that's a pretty fair way to judge a song like that, I think, but it is really scary to songwriters because, of course, there's going to be, inspiration taken from songs that people love. And I don't know how, to quote the song, I don't know where those blurred lines, really become a problem. So,
the lawyers are on the phone.
Right.
You really messed it up this time.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, it's scary and it's a little bit troubling, and I think we've been talking about it a ton because I really don't know how you're supposed to make that judgment as you're writing, and you don't want to write out of fear. I mean, you want to write stuff that you love and that you feel great about, and it's caused me to do a lot of research on
insurance.
Yeah, not insurance.
It's actually
on
out
legal
there,
fees. Yeah, Pharrell said you can't walk into a room, any room these days, not to look around you and find something in the room influenced by something else.
Of course.
So it's going to be very difficult.
Well,
to do
and
that.
I mean, there was an article that came out a couple years ago about Steve Jobs. I mean, the age of the tinkerer. He's the whole thing was to take something and make it mildly better. And I know songwriting, it's its own thing. It's different, but that's but I do think that that's part of, you know, the evolution of music is people taking something that was, you know, something great from the past and moving it into a modern era and shaping and resculpting. And
well, and it's also so strange when, for me, I could name, you know, 20 other examples where I think the melodies are identical and so obvious, and to see no action being taken there, and just to wonder, you know, is there anything else at play? I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but like it just is, it seems strange. Like
Sure.
but there are other things at play, and the thing when you dig at it at all, what you realize is that these types of lawsuits happen all the time, and they just settle them. That's why this is getting so much notoriety, is they chose not to settle. But I don't know. I mean, and then I keep hearing that maybe this isn't the final word on the issue,
they're appealing. And Sam Smith's got a song out now that sounds
Petty.
like Tom Petty, and all Tom Petty wanted was songwriting credits.
Yep.
That's right.
No money. It wasn't a big issue. Just give us credits.
Yep.
Jeff Lynne and Tom Petty, and that's all. We're happy. We'll go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now there's another suit. They're attacking Pharrell for the song Happy, which is supposed to steal Marvin Gaye's Ain't That Peculiar.
Oh, my goodness.
So, you know...
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, Marvin
Next
Gaye's
step.
family, they're very sensitive to people borrowing music. Now, on a similar note, how would you feel Bottom of the River? All of a sudden, you got a new group out there doing Bottom of the River. I hear that song, or have heard the song since you released it a couple of years ago, everywhere. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was in TV shows, a car commercial, the sing-off, somebody sang it. So how does that make you feel? Good, or are you saying, hey, wait a minute? I mean,
yeah, it's the exact. We feel really good about it, and we honestly, that song gets covered by more a cappella groups than any other song I know of, and we have like a running tally of like over 100 covers that we've heard, and we, you know, if you do cover that song, we've probably heard it because we follow everybody's, you know, Twitter and stuff, and like to look at the videos and see people's interpretations. It's exciting. Like to me, it's so exciting to see other people take it and bring it to life in a different way. And I don't know, I love hearing people's voices singing cool songs, whether they're mine or not. So
it's an incredible form of flattery, and also, you know, I think sometimes it's hard when you're in a band to step outside of it and admire something that you've done. When you hear another group do it and they do it well, it really helps you appreciate the song, and it is really flattering. And I think I don't know if it's just maybe like a kind of a new age philosophy about how this stuff all works, but in our minds, every person in that a cappella group has been exposed to our song. Every person that they've sung it for has been exposed to our song. Like for us, it seems better that more people would have heard that. And I actually had the same thought about Marvin Gaye's song. Like this, I would think that people who love Blurred Lines, you know, are getting exposed. If they're looking for something similar, they would find Marvin Gaye, and that actually might be a benefit. And it's a tough thing to navigate, and I do really respect that, you know, that there's copyright law, and people have you know, you need some rules governing this stuff, but it's hard to know which side of it to come down on. Especially, I think, you know, speaking as an artist where people cover our music from an artistic standpoint, we won't, you know, I love it when people
take Bottom of the River and mash it with something else, or they take it and they change it in a way that's more fundamental, you know, rather than just taking the cover and singing it. But like, why don't we change the lyrics? Why don't we flip the melody? Why don't we remix it and make it a hip hop song?
Well, the group that performed it on the Sing Off was a group that we had performed with a couple times, and they're tremendous musicians and really wonderful people. And they set the second verse to a beat, and I thought it was stunning.
So cool.
It was really cool.
Vocal Rush, they killed it.
So if somebody releases it and goes to #1 for 10 weeks and makes $20 million, you guys are okay with that? No problem?
We'll take the scraps.
Yeah. Delta Ray is here in our studios and on tour for the new album, which came out in April, After It All. So go on their website and get a copy, iTunes, Amazon, and you guys touring the world. Is that the plan for the future?
Yeah, we're actually headed to Australia next.
This week.
This week, right? And then and we're headed to Europe this year, and a bunch of stuff where it's going to be a crazy travel-filled year.
And if people want to follow you, what would be the website?
DeltaRay.com, RAE.
And
Easy.
we are on Twitter at Delta Ray, on Facebook and Instagram at Delta Ray. So we're on all the platforms and very engaged.
So 60 countries are tuned in, and hopefully you'll have a chance to go to 60 countries.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you so
I know
much.
they'd love to have you perform there. So would you do another song for us?
We'd love to.
I would love to hear from you guys. Something
This is the title track of the album. This is After It All. Oh, how I've waited. Oh, how I've dreamt of this. All in a house made of wood. All the walls painted in gold. After it all, you look after me. All of these things that we made believe.
Oh, how I've waited. Oh, how I've dreamt of this. All in a house made of wood. All the walls painted in gold. After it all, you look after me. All of these things that we made believe.
I got goosebumps. That's great. Delta Ray, and the album is After It All. And the next time I see you guys, you better bring your Grammys with you and your platinum records. And I hope everybody runs out and gets a copy of the new album because it's got some great music on it. The name Delta Ray. Did Mom ever put out the book?
She's still working on it.
Still working on the book.
Saw the
still
first draft
happening.
last year. It's great, and she's still working on it.
Still working on it.
Yep.
You guys have any input into the book or no? She said, doesn't
Yes,
want. Well, you do?
We're working on getting some input into the book.
we all tend to have meetings over breakfast. Like, well, we eat breakfast every day that we're on the road at some point, usually for dinner. But then we like to have long talks about, you know, what do you think about what if this character instead did this? And
She knows what she's doing, and
yeah,
it's really
we
great.
all take
we're-
notes and send them over to her, and she'll take some and leave some.
Is she a fan of the music too? I mean, other than the fact you're her kids, but when she listens to it, does she really enjoy the music and gives the
She does.
thumbs up?
You know, she's given us a lot of cues on music over the years. It was really our parents' music collection that got us started, and then you know, we would always compare notes on our favorite videos on VH1. So yeah, I think we really share a musical kinship, and she does really love what we're doing. So feel.
Well, the world loves what you're doing too. So Mom is right. Moms are always right.
She's always right.
So congratulations on the success of After It All, and continued success to you. And I can't wait to see you again in our studios with the next album and the next project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys all for coming on the program. Delta Ray, our guest in the studio today. This is Border Crossings right here on VOA TV.